Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Marc and I'm a pastry chef from Austria who is living in Australia for many years. And this year for Easter special, we're gonna do hot cross buns. These hot cross buns are very popular in the US, Canada, in Australia, New Zealand, in the UK and many more countries. And we're gonna make the traditional raisins versions, but we also have an apple cinnamon and a choc chip version just to spice some things a little bit up. I will show you today how we're going to do all three of them. I've prepared myself a few things which I need for my hot cross buns. We're going to be doing three different flavors. We're going to do choc chip, we're going to do apple and cinnamon, and then we're going to do the traditional sultanas/raisins. The difference is the sultanas are just smaller white grapes without seeds, usually a little bit sweeter. Regular raisins are dried white grapes, and currants are dried red grapes, usually also a bit smaller. We use both. We use sultanas and raisins. Let's dive straight in. I've prepared myself some flour, plain white baker's flour, my sugar, just white regular caster sugar, my spices, this is just cinnamon and allspice. You can put a touch of nutmeg in it if you like. I have an egg yolk, I have my dried yeast. I would prefer fresh yeast, but here overseas, it's very hard to get your hands on and you can only buy it in kilogram blocks. Overseas in Europe, you can always just get fresh yeast, those little 42-gram blocks in any supermarket. But unfortunately, these are not available here in Australia. That's why I'm using dry yeast because it's more accessible for everyone. I have high quality butter, also out of the region here in Victoria from Australia. I have some orange, I have some lemons for the flavor and a little bit of vanilla paste. And I will show you how to make the first round very traditionally hand kneaded. And then we can do the other two ones in a mixing bowl just to quicken the process up. To start off with, I will take my dry yeast and add my water to it. Just stir it around a little bit. I want to mix my dry yeast merrily so it's all dissolved and it's getting like slightly thick. It's just to activate the yeast and let it sit on the side for now. The first step is building a mold with my flours. This is a very important step because you need to make sure that it's proof for all your liquids that you're going to be pouring in afterwards. Otherwise, you will have a mess everywhere around on your table. This is a very old school and traditional technique. So this is what you learn as a baker in your apprenticeship. This is the original method how to make those. So you just make your mold, you're gonna add all the liquids in the middle, then you put all your other ingredients around, and then you start kneading the dough by combining the outside flour to the inside. You always wanna make sure that the walls of your mold are big enough so it doesn't spill, but also that the mold needs to be, or the center needs to be big enough so you can fit all your liquids and ingredients inside of it. As you can see, I slowly push the mold outside and work more flour into the middle to make sure it starts to thicken up. Now, as you can see, the middle has thickened up. So now I'm able to fold in all the flour because the dough doesn't run. I've prepared myself one of these dough carts to just scrape in all the remaining parts of the bench. The easiest method to get the dough off your hands is just to rub it. That's why you want to wash your hands before. You can use a little bit of flour, make it easier for you. So our dough is ready, nice and round. A few indicators that your dough is ready. First and most important is the gluten network, which means you want to check if your dough has developed enough gluten, which happens through the kneading process. And it's especially important when you hand knead it because you never really know how much force and how consistent you do this. The machines are obviously much better for this, but that's why we just check it. It's very easy. You just pinch yourself a piece of your dough and then you just spread it very nice and evenly apart. And you just have a look how thin you can stretch it without tearing the dough. In the baker's language, you would just say, should be able to read a newspaper through it, which just means it needs to be as thin as you can see through. Another indicator, the second one, is the stickiness. So you can see that our dough's picked up all its own scraps from the surface, which means it's developed, the gluten are developed enough to essentially absorb all those dry bits and parts. That's another indicator if your dough is ready. In bakeries, you always shape the ball first. This gives the dough an internal structure and the gluten is structure, which means with the shaping process of the ball, you are creating a core and the center, and this is essentially where the yeast is proving from, which means like it always proves nice and evenly and you get this nice dough shape. If you just make like a square, it could be that it raises right and left unevenly. So this is just for making sure that all your products are raising nice and evenly. So usually as a baker, you learn that you are taking one part by pushing it away and then you're folding it back into the middle. And then you turn the dough slightly and you do the same using your palm to push it out, folding it back into the middle. And you can already see if I make this with every corner, then I'm left with a nice round dough ball and all the edges and the corners are on the bottom, which means I've created this center. This was a slow motion version and regularly it just looks like this. So you see I push it out, I turn it back in and I'll do that with one hand. This means you get your perfect roundly shaped dough ball and have the edges and the ends all together in the middle, and that's exactly what we want. And now we're gonna work in all our ingredients. For this step I just spread my dough out again and then use my raisins, fold them in, and that's it. That's what we want, a nice and round dough ball. I'm now gonna let this 10 minutes rest. For the resting, I just put my dough into the bowl, cover it with some clean wrap. You can also use a wet tea towel, whatever you have on hand. The resting time is very important for any dough. After mixing, the gluten have developed a very strong network and are very tough, which means you give the dough 10 minutes or 15 minutes just time to relax. If you don't do this and you try to shape it, it probably just contracts because there is so much tension in it. Hot cross buns. Traditionally eaten on Good Friday, they carry a Christian meaning. The cross symbolizes the crucifixion and the spices apparently reflect those used in burial. These buns dated back to the 12th century and were once thought to offer protection and keep bad luck away. Now, for the fun part, making and of course eating them. It starts with soft dough, spiced with cinnamon and nutmeg, dotted with raisins and currants. Nowadays, people also like to make them with chocolate chips or other fruit like apples. Just put them all in the mixing bowl together and use your dough hook. You want to start on a low speed just to make sure all the ingredients are combined, and as soon as your dough starts to form, you will up the speed to 4 to 5 depending on your machine. I've made myself double the recipe now because I want to make both of my different flavored as once, which means I've just mixed the whole dough, mix it all the way to the end, so it's not quite finished yet. But now I'm gonna split it into 2 portions and then add my flavors individually. That way you can make all your hot cross buns in one go and you don't need to do like 3 small batches, which makes it just very nice and easy. For the apple and cinnamon, I recommend to put some more flour on the bench to work with because the apples are juicy, so the dough is slightly softer and it's a bit more sticky. This is why you want to use more flour. So let them rest for 10 minutes and after we're gonna portion them and roll them in individual. While we are waiting for our doughs to be rested, I'm now gonna prepare my cross mix, which goes on top of the hot cross buns. This is just plain flour with some water. You wanna make sure that it's nice and thin, not too thin, otherwise it's gonna run everywhere, and not too thick. Alrighty, my 3 doughs have rested for 10 minutes now and I will be processing them, shaping them into balls and then putting them on my tray so they can proof before they go into the oven. Just for portioning purposes, I'm gonna make a log. This way it's very nice and consistent to cut off the pieces. For this step, I will be using a dough card. You can also use a knife or whatever you have on hand. You can even tear it if you have none of these. I'm aiming for 80 grams. 80 grams, in my opinion, is a very nice size of a hot cross bun. So I'm gonna portion all of these and then shape them round. For the shaping of my hot cross buns, this is a technique you learn as a baker, but also it's a very nice skill to have for you at home. Use 2 balls at a time. You can also just start with 1 ball. What you wanna do is like you wanna put your hand like a little claw on top of it and roll the dough in your palm. This way you can apply the pressure as strong as you want through your palm and you're just rolling your dough inside of your fingers, inside of these fingers of your claw, which means you just create a really nice circle. At the bottom, it should look like this, and it's a very nice and smooth top. And then I just put them on my tray. This is another technique. If it's too hard for you on the surface and not sticky enough or you're having struggles, you can always use your second hand, use one of your hands as the surface, and use the other hand to just shape it round. Works just as good. Important for the tray placement is that they are nice and even, also that they are almost stuck together. After they're proving, they might slightly be touching. This is not an issue at all. This is actually what we want, because after, when we're piping the cross on top, that's gonna make it much easier for us. Here are my hot cross buns ready to go for the proving process. We want to put a wet towel on top and put it at room temperature just on the side for about 40 to 50 minutes. You ensure that the skin on the top of the bun is not drying out. As an indicator, it will be probably double the size we're looking for what they are now. Alrighty, about 45 minutes later, which all look very nice and evenly proofed. They've doubled in size, which is exactly what we want. This is essentially the perfect size and width, how you want to space them. So in the oven, they grow together, as hot cross buns are known. That there's like a pull apart pastry is essentially like stuck together, and then you just break them apart as you go. I've prepared myself the white cross mix as we've seen before. In my piping bag, so this way it just makes it much easier for me to pipe the cross on top. If you don't have a piping bag by hand, you can either just use any Ziploc bag or something like this and cut a little hole inside. If you also don't have this, you can just use a spoon. It might doesn't look as pretty and precise, but it's just as good. This is essentially what we're after, a nice and even cross. The white mixture is not too thin, not too thick, so it's gonna dissolve and nicely bake into the buns while they're in the oven. And we put those in at 180 degrees for about 12 minutes. Just gonna check them and maybe turn them halfway. While we're waiting for our hot cross buns to come out of the oven, I prepared myself some apricot jam, which I just dilute with water a little bit, just for a little glaze that goes on top, so they all look very nice and shiny. All right, our timer is over. Our hot cross buns are finished. You want to put the jam on straight out of the oven as long as they are still hot. So we use our prepared apricot jam and just brush it straight on top of these hot cross buns. The cross on these hot cross buns actually is the sign for the crucifixion of Jesus. They're in the shops from pretty much March onwards, and everyone loves them. These are delicious, and they usually be eaten with a little bit of butter in the middle. And this is how you eat it. Because you enjoyed this video, you're now obligated to leave a like and subscribe for more baking tips. Thanks for watching.